Welcome to this PayTrace Power30 webinar. My name is Sam Johnson. I'll be your host today. With us is our guest of honor, Homero Gonzalez. Welcome, Homero.
How's it going, everybody?
Or rather, should I say welcome back. For those of you that might be new to these Power30 webinars, what you can expect is about 30 minutes of engagement with us PayTracers. This is your opportunity to see what goes on behind the scenes at PayTrace and learn from some of our experts. Again, our guest of honor today is Homero Gonzalez. We had Homero on a few years back to talk a little bit about some of the support that he provides to our developers along with our API. And today we're actually going to focus in a little bit more specifically on a new product that we've launched called PayTrace Protect. Now, you will notice that you are muted. We want to encourage engagement and interaction. So as we go through today's call, if you have questions, comments, emotional outbursts, please use the Q&A box that you can see on the bottom of your little Zoom page there and send in any sort of questions. We've got myself, our ISV manager, Kevin Hurd, will be monitoring those. We won't get to everything today probably, but get it in and we'll have somebody follow up with you at least by the end of this week. So I think that's all the housekeeping I had. Let's get to know Homero a little bit better for those of you that don't know him. I rewatched our video, Homer, from a few years ago this morning, and we talked a little bit about your musical talents. And one thing that came up was karaoke, but I don't think specifically we mentioned the subset of karaoke that you do, which I've heard is called cowboy karaoke.
Yeah, people can call it that.
In 1 minute or less, what the heck is cowboy karaoke?
I guess long story short, I'm out of my local college where, here at Eastern Washington University, there's a local bar called Eagles, and I am the resident country singer of the bar. So whenever I show up, it's cowboy karaoke. You're gonna get people dancing, jumping up, swinging, dancing, having a good time. So I try to entertain.
Now, do you know how to dance yourself? Can you line dance, swing dance?
Line dancing, not so much. That is just way too much choreography for me. But swing dancing, I do get down a little bit on that.
All right. Maybe we could trade some pointers. I'm more of the line dancer myself. I get in that rhythm, man. You know how it goes.
Let's do it. It's a good time. Nashville North, baby.
So I imagine right now karaoke's a little bit tough. Maybe you're blaring it out in the shower, in the car or something.
You have no idea. It's a struggle. It's a struggle. All that pent up energy. It's a struggle.
Well, maybe I'll put you on the spot and we'll bust out some vocals later in this Power30 if we need to stretch it out.
We have time.
We'll see about that. I think you're gonna kill me. Cool. Well, Homer, let's get into this a little bit because I mentioned we launched a new product or a feature, and many of you guys may have seen this. We've sent out some email notifications, but it's called PayTrace Protect. And it has something to do with our API. It took me a little while to figure out what the heck this thing is. So Homer, maybe could you tell our audience, what is this new product and maybe just a little bit of background on it?
Absolutely. So PayTrace Protect or protect.js, it is a JavaScript file. It's also built on React, is a UI, so an interface that allows you to collect sensitive credit card information from your customers on your e-commerce website and allows you to make sure that you are not touching any of that sensitive information. So it keeps you within that PCI compliance, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Mm-hmm. And it's an enhancement, if you will, of the JSON API. So it allows you to collect the sensitive card information securely and then process that credit card information for transactions, customer storage, authorizations, things of that nature.
Okay. So one term that kind of sticks with me there is custom UI. And keep in mind, guys, we've got a lot of mixture of sales and developer folks, so we'll try to keep it high level. But custom UI, right? That's user interface.
Correct.
PayTrace Protect is, from what I understand, is the ability to really customize a payment interface and a UX, right? User experience for a merchant. We've typically seen this for e-commerce so far, right?
Correct. Yeah. So essentially what we're doing is replacing an iframe, and for those who are non-technical, think of it as a window on your merchant's page to PayTrace. So that PayTrace is handling all that sensitive collection while still allowing you to host your own page. So you get to have full customizability.
Mm.
You can design your UI, your UX, user experience as you wish without having to sacrifice anything with, security, PCI compliance, unlike maybe some other products that we've had in the past.
Gotcha. Coming from a support side of things, and I work with a lot of our partners, one thing that I hear is kind of a pain a lot of the time is, merchants try to build their own e-commerce solution.
Right.
Right. They want to start from scratch, and or they work through a web developer that maybe doesn't have payment background, but they want to get it to look like their own solution. They want it to fit nicely on their web page, but then right now they have to go through all this PCI stuff, and we'll talk about that and some of the implications there, but it's a hassle. So with this, it's basically you're able to take a little bit of PayTrace and just boop, right, put it on your website.
Pretty much. I mean, it's a little bit more complicated than that, but at a high level, that's about it. I mean, it's fairly simple solution. I'm going to run through a demo here pretty quickly and get the initial part of Protect up within, the half hour. So it is
Nice.
that simple.
Nice. Well, let's maybe, before we get to the demo point, because I'm excited to see that. I want to unpack this PCI stuff a little bit, because the name Protect really kind of has this security kind of language behind it, and that really correlates with PCI, which can be a hassle for a lot of folks. What does Protect do for a merchant's PCI for a payment solution?
So you'll often hear it referred to in the industry. A lot of developers and a lot of like ISVs, so integrated software vendors, typically say they want to be out of scope of PCI. I'm usually hesitant to say out of scope because by technicality, if you're taking a credit card payment online, you are in scope of PCI. But what Protect allows you to do is minimize your scope to what we call SAQA, which is the smallest kind of scope questionnaire you can fill out. And there's different varying degrees of questionnaires, and it all depends on how secure your system is and what you're doing. Protect takes and removes the credit card information, the sensitive information from your customer, from your server, meaning your server never touches anything live, sensitive, that PCI would consider that needs to be locked down. It's never stored anywhere. It's never saved anywhere. And PayTrace essentially takes that burden from the merchant and their web development teams, meaning that their developers can then have the ability to, again, go back, create the UI they want, the experience they want, while still allowing PayTrace to handle all of the, heavy lifting, if you will, for PCI compliance.
Right. Which is nice. I've never actually had to fill out an SAQ form. I know some of our partners have assisted with that, some of my colleagues here at PayTrace, and it seems rough, right?
Yeah, you're going SAQAs, I don't know, give or take 15, 20 questions. SAQAE, which is the very next tier up, goes to like 40. And then it goes to like over 100 above that. So getting you to SAQA not only simplifies your PCI compliance, it also just makes you more secure, which that's the end game for everybody.
For sure. And I know for a lot of our partners, they probably assist their merchants with the SAQ questionnaires, right? They're probably not giving it completely to the merchants. So hopefully that helps out with a little bit of that burden as well.
Streamline that.
Exactly. Well, I want to dive into a little bit about who this is going to be a good fit for, right? What types of merchants, and maybe some case studies. But I think this might be a good time just to dive into the code a little bit and maybe show an example of this. Does that work?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Give me a sec. Let's get my screen sharing here.
Excellent. All right. I'm seeing your desktop.
Perfect. Can you see that? I want to see Protect up there in documentation.
That's it.
Awesome. So developers.paytrace.com, that's going to be our general API, JSON API page. If you go to your left-hand corner, you're going to see payment UIs, and this is where you're going to see where Protect.js lives. Again, long story short, Protect puts an iframe or a window on your web page that allows you to communicate directly with PayTrace, removing your server from the PCI burdens of sensitive credit card information, sensitive data. So how do we get that started? It's pretty straightforward, at least in my opinion. You're going to walk through some steps. So step one, let's just kind of walk through this real quick. Step one, you're going to apply some script tags and div tags. I'm going to go ahead and go to my code. I have a general web page, nothing fancy here, very simple.
This is literally just copy and pasting. This is kind of cool.
No, it is very much so copy paste. Essentially, we're telling you where to get the script. We're telling you where the script or your window is going to live. Step 2, this does involve a little more development work on your end. This is going to say basically, how do I authenticate with PayTrace? To save time on that, I am going to use Postman, which a lot of developers will know how to use. Here's my username, my password. It's all set up. Move your face a little bit because you're in my way now. We're going to go ahead and grab a code. This is your authentication code. This says, hey, I know who you are. This is my merchant account.
Mm-hmm.
We then go to, again, step 3, getting what we call the client ID. Using the code, using the code you have, you go to authorizing headers, you insert a token, again, copy pasting. Now you have a client key. So we're up to step 3 already in a 5-step process.
Wow.
Pretty simple. Step 4, again, copy paste. We copy paste this script. Go to my code, put it within the div tags. And that code we got from the Postman script, so that client key, this one, this long jumbled mess right here, we copy paste this as well. Insert here in client key. Let's go ahead and give that a nice save. And if you go to Protect, here was my page prior without the notifications, without the sensitive material. We refresh that page, and there you go. Protect is now active on this page. You know, at this point, we are able to enter information. It's not going to do anything, but at least we have that iframe. All this information is talking directly to PayTrace. So again, you're removed from that PCI scope. So what are your next steps now that you have that? So again, we go back, copy paste. Gotta love it. I'm just gonna copy 5.1. What this is essentially gonna do is tell your web page how to collect that information, tell Protect it, what we call tokenized information. And what that's going to do is turn those credit card numbers, the expiration date C2Cs, and provide you a token that allows you to make a process with the JSON API. So again, copy paste, we come over here. Save. And let's see here. Go to demo, refresh, we're good. And even now, I made it so if I don't put something in your information, it turns red. So we have automatic validation as well that comes in with submitting with that. And again, that's just copy pasting. I haven't done anything fancy.
Right.
So the last step to this, what it's going to be is here we created some functions. You know, you're going to have to write those for the sake of time. This is where you would normally send your web page information so you can create the JSON API request to create and process your transactions. I don't have a lot of time to do all that extra work. So at this point, I'm just going to tell it, print the token to the screen that we're going to use. Go back to Google Chrome. Let's go ahead and refresh our page. Uh-oh, something just broke. That's not good. You gotta love when that happens.
It's just one little item there, right?
It's all it takes. That is all it takes. So let me refresh that. So we're back up and running.
There we go.
Go to here. Why are you struggling? There we go. That should fix it. Look at that. These are my own technical support expertise.
You should reach out to developer support at paytrace.com, Homer.
Man, they know what they're doing. I'll tell you that. Less than this. And there you go. Here's your HPF token. Here's your encryption key. So again, high level. But at that point, we have Protect up and running. You take this, you create a JSON API request. All of our requests are shown below on this documentation. Click on the links. I'll tell you how to build that request. And that's how you'll be able to charge a customer, authorize a customer, store a customer, update the customer profiles. Protect gives you kind of a way to do all of that.
Right.
And then if you want to make it look pretty, you know, which I'm not very good at, again, copy paste. Click on styles, you insert this information. You have the ability to change backgrounds, colors, what have you. Copy. We go down to our code, paste that right there. Nice little save. Refresh that page. Oh, sorry, this one. And now you have that as well.
There it is.
So you have more colors, more features, and what have you. So realistically, it's a very simple way that you can do things. You can customize it, make it how you want. There's validation built into it as well. Just gives you a lot of that ability to create your own user experience is what it comes down to, while still taking secure payments.
Right. And you've been fair to say you've been using this for a little while now, so you're familiar with the code. But I mean, start to finish, what you spent maybe 6 minutes on that, and you were able to pull up a customized, color coded, right? It fits your PayTrace branding.
Yeah,
That
exactly.
you could implement on a website.
Exactly. So, and that's just the initial part, and that is Protect. Now, at this point, you still need to go through and create a JSON API request and things like that. So there is a little more development work involved. But once you get those HPF tokens that we showed earlier on the screen, you take that, you make a request. So I'm going to go back to one of my examples. This is a separate example as well, where it's all set up and done. Again, same stuff. Nothing's changing. You'll notice the only thing I've done now is I've added an amount field. So now I can tell you how much to charge. Submit. I built the request, and then we get the response saying, hey, your transaction's approved. And this, again, allows you can store customers with this as well. You can do a sale and store a customer. So if the transaction's approved, we store your customer. If transactions decline, maybe we don't trust the card and we don't store the customer. All that functionality is built in, and there's more coming. Protect is definitely in maybe phase 1 or 2, and there's a lot more functionality on its way.
Gotcha. So, I'm trying to wrangle it back into my perspective. I'm not a developer. I've never played around with code. I've copy and pasted some HTML code, some very basic stuff in my career. But, you've worked with a lot of developers with, developer support API stuff. Is it fair to say that if you were working with one of our merchants developers, that this is a fairly easy to implement?
I would say so. I mean, there may be some unique cases. I mean, without fully knowing what the merchant's environment is like, I can't really give you a solid answer on that. But generally speaking, it's as fast as how I did it. I mean, in terms of getting Protect up ready to go, it should be fairly quick. It shouldn't take too much. A lot of the time, it's the JSON API, so our normal API information. For example, authentication, building your authentication, creating requests of that nature that take a little more time.
Right.
But the beauty of our JSON API is once you do it once, you can just, again, copy, paste, repeat all that process for ACH transactions, exporting transactions, things of that nature. So overall, the process isn't super difficult compared to some other ones that I have had to deal with from both within PayTrace and outside of PayTrace. It's probably one of the simpler ones that I've had to the pleasure of working with.
For sure. I actually want to interrupt with a question there, Homero, because I really like this one, and I'm something I meant to bring up. But Vince is asking, is this a redirect, or is this something that would basically stay natively on a merchant website?
Great question. That's actually a great question. So unlike some of our past APIs in the past, this is no redirect. As you noticed, I'm on this page. This is part of the page. What Vince is probably referring to is our secure checkout API, which is a hosted payment page. The difference being the hosted payment page I would hit submit in this case. It would take me from my website as the merchant to a PayTrace hosted website. So we're completely removing ourselves from our domain, filling information, then PayTrace sends me back to my domain.
Sure.
This UI with Protect, you stay on your page at all times. PayTrace is still taking that instance information because in all reality, if I go to draw a gray box here, this is PayTrace and the rest is me.
Right.
So it gives the ability to not have to redirect. It gives you a lot better, less clunky, if you will, user experience instead of having to redirect your customer back and forth per transaction for everything you're going to do. So I guess the short answer is no. There is no redirect involved. You stay on your page while still letting PayTrace handle all that heavy burden.
Right. And I just want to add to that, right? There's a little bit of a compare and contrast because we also do have a product called Payment Link, which we launched last year. A lot of merchants are using this, but Payment Link is similar to that secure checkout in that it's another redirect, right? We're putting the ability to put like a link on a website.
Correct.
And the nice thing about Payment Link, I think, is that it's basically a prepackaged out of the box solution. The code's there to go. It's copy and paste, and you're on your way. But it does have that redirect. With this, right, there's the example. Homero's got it pulled up there on the screen. That's our Payment Link. With Protect, it doesn't have that redirect, so you're just staying on that same web page. It just takes a little bit more development work. So both have their benefits, right? Both are really great features, but it really just depends on the merchant's, I guess, the merchant's business, and what types of capacity, developer capacity they have. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, absolutely. So realistically, if we're talking about what I would call a true definition of a copy paste solution, the PayTrace payment link, that's what it is. We generate an HTML snippet of code. You copy that code, you paste it onto your page, and then it places that button that I showed earlier. You click that button, then it takes you to PayTrace. This is all PayTrace hosted. We continue from here. Payment Protect, sorry, does involve a little more coding. It's a little more complex, still simple, but you, again, like you said, you have a different severity of what you're looking for. Protect is going to be a lot more for people who have e-commerce websites, people who are maybe shopping carts, things of that nature, where they want a little more control of the experience. Versus Payment Link tends to be good for maybe donation links, sending invoices, things where you want maybe a customer to come at a later time. Depends on where you're at in your transaction process. So both have their merits for sure. Yeah. Typically speaking, if you're me, I would prefer Protect because I like control, but some merchants maybe don't want that. Some merchants do want to have the merchant just 100% on PayTrace. If that's the case, Payment Link is a phenomenal solution for that.
For sure, right? There's definitely benefits to both ways. And, we've seen some research out there that says, there is some customer loss from redirects. If right. There are extra pages to go through, some customers, there is attrition there. So a lot of e-commerce, right? This is anybody that has kind of a developer staff, I think is going to be great. And even ISVs would be some great, I would say, prospects to implement this type of solution, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. So when you talk about, for example, I don't know, what's WooCommerce, Magento, anyone who has an online platform who's collecting sensitive information online can benefit from Protect. We've had previous products in the past, for example, client-side encryption, which is a good one to use, that we used to highly recommend. Similar process, however, sensitive information does technically touch your system. It is encrypted, but it does. We have people migrating from client-side encryption now to Protect because, again, it's that one extra tier up. You're going from SAQ-AE, roughly 40 questions or so, to SAQ-A, 14 questions or so. So that upgrade, that step forward path. So I think any ISV who has an online presence, an e-commerce solution, would very highly benefit from this product.
So I think this is actually a really good time to launch a poll.
Sure.
Because we want to hear from our partners on here, but it's going to help us. Do you guys have any merchants or ISV partners that you think could benefit from using a tool like Protect for their e-commerce solutions? So I'll leave this poll up here for a minute. I know we're running up here on time, and I want to set aside a few minutes. We might go a couple minutes over for some Q&A, because there are some very good questions in here, guys. I appreciate you sending those in. Thankfully, we've had Kevin taking control and answering some of those. So appreciate that, Kevin.
Thanks, boss man.
I'll go ahead and we'll stop this poll. Sounds like we've got some really good response there, Homer. So we're going to keep you busy, I think. You've got some job security for now.
Love it. Love it.
So one thing that a good question here from Cheryl, who's been a partner with us for a while. Cheryl's coming in and asking, how does Protect implicate level 3 processing, which is something that PayTrace does very well.
Right. Just like anything else, any transaction that runs through PayTrace is going to be subjected to our level 2 and level 3 optimization, our interchange optimization. So using this product or payment link or secure checkout, if you're using one of our older APIs, direct virtual terminal, all of that's going to get the optimization feature. So as always, as long as you're sending in the minimum information, billing zip, billing address, things of that nature, you're going to qualify for that. Protect doesn't have those fields included within the iframe, but those are what PCI would consider non-sensitive information. So we're only taking the sensitive stuff: your credit card number, your expiration date, and your CSC value. So an example of this, again, not very pretty looking, but if I were to go here to Protect sample code, and let's do create customer, just for an example, I provided those fields. On your web page, you would just provide those fields as well. Submit the same transaction with the tokens provided by Protect, and you'll qualify for those level 2 and 3 rates.
Perfect. So with that, right, basically you just need the bare minimum. Cheryl put in a specific instance, right? Invoice. If a customer doesn't put an invoice number, again, that's what's cool about PayTrace, is that we're able to fill in a lot of those gaps on the gateway side of thing to make sure that all of that information is getting passed over, right?
Correct. We got you covered.
Yeah,
we got you covered.
Exactly. Wade hopped in here. I want to take a minute to acknowledge that. Quick comment for you, Homer, is that Wade says Homero is great. He has helped us and our merchants many times.
Thank you, Wade. Appreciate that.
Love that shout out. Wade, just wanted a clarification. I see Kevin responded, but I think it's worth clarifying on this. So Wade asked, did you say that this method will help a merchant qualify for SAQA if all credit card transactions are done this way, right, through Protect?
Correct. It should help you qualify for SAQA. Again, the key there being PayTrace is taking that sensitive information. It is not touching their system. All they are receiving is a representation of a card, and that token only lasts 20 minutes. It's a one-time use token. So on top of that, there's extra security measures added as well, besides just not letting it touch their system. So that is correct. If you use Protect, you should have a much, much higher, almost guaranteed chance of going to SAQA.
Excellent. The question here, and I'll tackle this one, Homer, is from Todd asking about costs, right? That's always a pretty important question. What's cool about this is that Homero called out at the beginning, right? This is an enhancement of our API. So there's no additional costs involved to enabling Protect outside of just making sure that the merchant has API enabled on their account. So it's a very, cost-effective product. Just refer back to your whatever your pricing is for API.
Right.
Let me just do a quick little run through. I see that we have a lot of longer questions that we might just need to follow up with offline. I do want to, while we have this audience here, I do want to encourage folks, if you haven't already, we've been pretty active on social lately, specifically on LinkedIn and on YouTube. Earlier last year, maybe even 2 years ago now, we did launch a YouTube channel that houses all of these videos. We also have a lot of really short videos on just some best practices to take advantage of. We did post one on Protect. So if you'd like kind of a short form one that you can send out to merchants, your clients, your developers, your ISVs, right? Check out our YouTube channel. It's going to sound kind of cliche, but like and subscribe to it, right? That way you can stay informed and keep within the community, as well as our LinkedIn page. We're constantly posting a lot of information there. So if you want to stay up to date on PayTrace stuff, definitely check that out. Homero, I just want to thank you again, man, for coming on here. Let's say somebody needs to get a hold of you, right? They're interested in Protect and they want to set up maybe a consultation call, or they have some questions. What's the best way to get in front of you?
Yeah, developer support at paytrace.com. Send me an email there. The reason being is if I can help you, someone from my team will. So you're going to get a lot more access to not just my expertise, but our entire team's expertise. And we have a lot of strong individuals on our team to help assist you with that. From there, we'll send you back a kind of reply email saying, hey, if you would like to schedule a meeting, we can do that. If you have just some general questions, quick email questions, we can answer those as well. So developer support at paytrace.com, and we'll get all your questions answered.
Perfect. And if you do want to get the process started immediately, if you go to our developers page right on our website, you can find all of the documentation right here, as well as you can request a sandbox account. So for our merchants and our developers on this call, if you'd like that sandbox to get started, right, that's very easy to find right on the front page of our website. So just want to call that out. Lastly, if you do have any opportunities and you want to run that by our sales team, you can get a hold of them as well at sales@paytrace.com. They are itching to get some folks started on Protect because there's a lot of value here, and we're really excited to get some folks up and running there. So once again, Homero, thank you. Everybody on this call, thank you so much for checking out this Power 30. Stay tuned. We're going to have one more in the year of 2020 in December. We should have some information on that coming out here in the next bit. And hope you have a fantastic rest of your week.
Thanks, everybody.